it's Danielle Radojcin, and in this episode my guest is a true legend in the art and fashion world. Carla Sozzani, the Italian editor, gallerist, a patron and mentor to designers and founder of the Azzedine Alaïa Foundation, as well as sister of the equally legendary late editor of Italian Vogue, Franca Sozzani, has a new book out about her life, and she took time in her very busy schedule to speak to me about it and other things. Now in her 70s, Carla has worked incredibly hard ever since her first job as a magazine editor at various magazines during the late 60s and early 70s, while studying economics at university in Milan. As well as contributing to Italian and American Vogue, she launched Italian Elle in 1987, an appointment which didn't last, apparently because she refused to compromise her creative integrity for the sake of the advertisers. Carla has worked with the great photographers, including Paolo Roversi, Bruce Weber and Herb Ritz. An early collector of photography, her work has often intersected with the art world, and in 1989 she met her partner, the artist Chris Ruse, with whom she has also collaborated extensively. In fact, Ruse painted the iconic sign of 10 Corso Como, the store Carla opened in Milan in 1990. A concept store way before the likes of Dover Street Market and Colette had opened, and which has become something of a pilgrimage site for travelling fashionistas. She has since opened versions of the concept in Tokyo, Seoul, Shanghai and New York. It is perhaps for her nurturing relationships with fashion designers that Carla is most highly regarded, taking on a sort of fairy godmother role. In particular, her great friend, the late Azzedine Alaïa, whom she saved from bankruptcy and helped set up the Alaïa Foundation, which is now a charity and of which she is founder and president. She continues to offer support to creatives in the visual arts. In 2017, she established the Fondation Azzedine, which, in the website's words, is dedicated to promoting the quality and aesthetic depth of contemporary life through art and design. Her book, which is now out and is called Carla Sozzani, Art, Life, Fashion, written by Louise Baring, is published by Thames and Hudson. I spoke to Carla over Zoom, where she joined me from the Alaïa Foundation offices on a gloomy, wintry morning in Paris. So much for joining me. How are you today?
Good. I just arrived from Milano and I'm in Paris. I'm at the Alaïa Foundation.
I was just so delighted to speak to you because last time I was going to speak to you at the V&A in London, and there was a problem with your passport.
Oh yeah, I forgot my passport in Italy. So when I got to the train stations, there was no way. And then I tried to get the passport from Milano. All flights from Milano to Paris full. No way. So I went back to Milano and I bought a ticket to Milano, Paris, Milano, London. Somebody was at the airport with the steward of Alitalia was there with my passport. And the flight from Paris, as there was it was late, 2 hours. I missed the plane for 10 minutes. It was not to be.
Not to be.
It was a day. Oh my God.
But do you the V&A well? And have you been to the new photographic wing there?
No. When is that? Since when?
I think it opened a couple of years ago. It's really beautiful. It's a whole wing dedicated to photography, and they have a really gorgeous archive. I know you yourself are a collector of photography.
I haven't been in London, that's why I forgot my passport, in a long time. So, yeah, I have to come.
So tell me about so you're at the Alaïa Foundation now?
Yes.
I would love to hear about it because I was in Paris a couple of weeks ago and I visited the Alaïa store in the Marais for the first time. I had never been before, and I went into the boutique and I spoke to a very nice shop assistant, and I explained I was talking to you, and he was really nice, and he took me into the gallery space.
To see the exhibition, yes.
To the exhibition, and I went upstairs. I'd never seen the museum bit where you can look into Azzedine Alaïa's former workshop, and it was also exciting and inspiring.
Yeah. It's Azzedine had bought 5,000 square meters in the heart of the Marais. Mm-hmm. And that's where he lived, worked, he did fashion shows. And here it's where we have the archives, exhibitions, the offices. This is here.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so great. And tell me, I mean, I know you were great friends with him, but and you're the chair or you're the co-founder of the foundation.
Yes.
It seems to be doing really, it's grown a lot, and it seems to be very prominent at the moment. Tell me about the plans for the foundation.
Well, from the very beginning, Azzedine was very conscious that he had a huge collection of archives, not only of his own work, because he had been collecting his own work since the 70s. And then when he started the ready-to-wear, he was keeping every single piece. It was made for the prototypes or for the fashion show. So maybe some pieces you have in many different colors. And so he has been collecting, which was very rare at the time, because, it was not a tradition to collect and to archive clothes for fashion system. And so he knew he had all his amazing work, and he knew he had been collecting since 1968 all the masters of fashion, and like Poiret, Vionnet, Schiaparelli, Madame Grès, Dior, Balenciaga, all of them. And this is another rare case in fashion, because normally, recently, yes, they buy to get inspired. But Azzedine was buying since 1968 to preserve what we call a French patrimoine, because he has been he was also learning from the masters, because he was very interested in the technique. So he was very interested in looking at the perfection of clothes. But he was really preserving amazing quantities of masterpieces. And sometimes at auctions, he was fighting against museums. Very, very often museums would lose when Azzedine was betting, because Azzedine had lost.
Did you go with him to the auctions?
I did a few times. Yes, a few times, and but many, many times he loved to go alone, and he was hiding what he was doing. He had people everywhere, especially Carrie Taylor in London, or Titi, his friend in New York. Everybody was telling him when there was something interesting coming up. And so in 2007, together, we founded the association to preserve in the future and to become an association, a foundation of public interest, because he wanted a foundation of public interest. And the idea was to share with the young generations all this amazing savoir-faire, because, at schools, they teach you a lot, academic point of view, about the history of fashion. But when it comes to techniques, or when it comes to have access to museum pieces, it's very rare, if not impossible. Because, and you can learn from the past to build the future. So this was his idea. So when he passed away, he left to his partner and myself, the two of us, the duty to found the foundation, which we did. And the foundation became of public utility in 2020, just a week before COVID, and everything closed down.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. And so I asked Olivier Sayard, who was the director of the Palais Galliera before, and he knew Azzedine very, very well. And he had given Azzedine his first retrospective in Paris in 2013 to be the director. So now it's Olivier and me together that run the foundation.
And is Christophe von Wey, who was Azedine's partner, is he still also involved?
No, he is retired.
He's retired now. He has a beautiful work of art hanging on the wall in the shop that I saw.
Yeah, of course. It's an important piece, yes.
Very beautiful. And I loved also the Julian Schnabel portrait in the dressing room of Azzedine.
Yes.
It's like a red.
The red one. And then there is a blue one in the bookshop.
Is there? I didn't see that one. Anyway, no, I didn't go. I think because I came in through the shop. Yeah. So I didn't, and then I went back into the shop because I bought something, so I wanted to pick up my bag. So I don't think I went through the main exit. Anyway, next time. So I wanted to talk about your book, which I have here. I've been reading your book, which is I've saved lots.
Louise.
Louise, it's so beautifully written by Louise, and I love all the stories, and visually it tells a very beautiful story as well. I think there's a real visual narrative there as well. It's called Art, Life, Fashion, and it's published by Thames and Hudson. That's an interesting choice of words for the title. Why did you choose those words?
Well, it came from, we did an exhibition about my photography collection a few years ago, which traveled. And Fabrice Ergot, who is the director of the Museum of Modern Art in Paris, he called it Between Art and Fashion, because he said that all my life has been always between those two, and never really having a difference between the two. And then we had a life, because there's some personal. So art, life, fashion.
Lovely. Are you happy with how the book has come out?
Well, I think so. I mean, I never reread it again, but I think Louise was very good, because she didn't want just to tell the story of a person, but she wanted to picture the social changes in Italy for all the decades I worked, and I'm still working. And so it's interesting in that sense. It's not just about the person. It's more like, it's thanks to her, because she really wanted to do the book. I was always postponing. It's difficult to talk. And finally, she was being very good, because I told her things I thought I would never tell anybody. And so it took a few years, but it's thanks to her.
Do you like looking back? Do you like the nostalgia?
I'm not nostalgic, no. But it was nice to have some good memories and to remember. Of course, now that the book is done, I remember lots of other things.
Yeah.
Long journey. But I think she's been very good at that. I'm fine with it. It's good.
There are a few themes in the book, but one theme is definitely work. And I think you were brought up by a father who seemed to have a very strong work ethic. You were brought up in a very traditional Italian household. So I was wondering what you were born in Mantua. What are you most grateful to your parents for? What do you think they instilled in you?
Well, few things actually, because for sure, the sense of duty, which I think at the end it's good to have in life. Discipline, which we didn't like when we were young, but of course after you realize it's good. And beauty, because thanks to them, we, both Franca and me, we were always in contact with architecture and paintings and beauty in general, even nature. But they were really very much into teaching us the history of art and going to church, not for religion, but for art or architecture. And also, being born in Italy, it's extremely privileged.
Yeah, because it was all around you. So there was this good balance of industry with your father working. I believe your mother was, she was a stay-at-home mother.
She was very cultivated. She was reading. I remember my mother only sitting. I don't remember my mother in any other way, really. She was sitting and reading, bad cook, disaster.
And your sister, who you mentioned, your sister Franca, who sadly died in 2016, she was a huge figure in the fashion industry, not just as the editor of Vogue Italia, but as a like you, as a friend and supporter of all these important creatives in the industry. I read that in the book you say that your strongest memory of her is her enormous willpower.
Oh yes, enormous. Until the very end of her life.
Yeah. What sort of, how did that manifest? Can you think of a story where that is as an example of that willpower?
Well, many, because she was always very determined in what she wanted to do. You know, at the very beginning, she was insecure, but when she started working at Condé Nast, which was, I think, 74, more or less, when my daughter was born, she wanted to become the best, and that will, that's why she wanted to do it. So when finally she made it to become the editor-in-chief of Lei and Louis, those magazines at the time for younger people, she started taking big risks, using photographers that could have been not normal use for a very young, jumping, smiling, So she was working with Roversi, Bruce Weber. She discovered Steven Meisel. It's like she was working with Lindbergh and Roversi. And she was really determined to make the best magazine. And she took lots of risks all the way of her career, So that was a very strong will. And she had a very strong will personally, because she got married and divorced, I think in the span of 3 weeks. Divorced, but separated.
I love the stories in the book with your father sort of slightly exasperated, but nonetheless still looking after you both, and very strict rules about when you could go out and when you had to be home. And both of you still had this very independent spirit, running off, having love affairs, getting married. It's very charming.
Yeah, but he was very strict, because Franca, when she divorced, she went back home and he never gave her the keys to the house. So he was waiting for her to be back, but she was already, 25. Yeah.
Always, and there was a curfew. Was it always the same time that she had to be back, sort of 12:30 or something?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because he was waiting. He never gave her the keys. So then finally she came to live with me to be more independent.
So why do you think you both had this independent spirit then? Is it because you had this very strict upbringing, or was there, did you talk about it between you two? Was it like a pact?
No, I think our father wanted us to be independent financially, for sure. It was because when he started this strange system that I never heard from anybody else, actually, that he was giving us money if we were good at school, and he was taking back the money if we were not good at school. None of our friends had that system, and I never heard about anybody like this. But this was a way probably to teach us to be independent and to understand the value of work or the value of money, and that you don't just go out to buy Pucci unless you deserved it, And so this was, so in a way, maybe we became too independent to what was his ideas, because at the same time he wanted us to get married, have children, go to the mountains, to be very traditional. But it's because he was the one who told us to be independent. And so after we went all the way.
I was interested, you mentioned how Franca discovered Steven Meisel, and you also worked, met and worked with so many amazing photographers, and I loved reading about when you launched Italian Elle in I think 1987. And you had a very close relationship with Paolo Roversi. I think you launched it with Rob and Derek, who
Yes.
was the art director. Talk about taking risks. That seemed to be a real...
I know, I was so enthusiastic. When I left Vogue, I didn't have any doubt that Elle was my magazine, because Vogue at the time was just fashion. And while this could be cinema, theater, architecture, furniture, cuisine, patterns. So it was like a whole world. So I was very happy, and I was sure with Paolo Roversi, we said, let's make the most beautiful magazine in the world. And Mats Gustafsson was making the drawings. Hans Feurer was working there, Steven Meisel, Bruce, Lindbergh. It was great, except independent in everything. I also wanted to feature what I thought was good. And at the time, fashion was very much in Paris, Milan, big names, of course. But then in Paris, there were the Japanese, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Azzedine Alaïa, Sibilla even. There was a lot of things happening. And so I thought it was my duty also, to communicate and to show what I thought it was good. So otherwise, where's the point to work in a magazine if you don't share with your readers what you think or your point of view?
So what was the problem with it? Was it that you wouldn't have advertising, or was there a problem with the advertising side? Or
no, the problem was that the big Italian names, except Versace, they told Rizzoli, it was a co-edition, Rizzoli, Hachette, that if I continued that way, doing, like Claude Montana, whatever, and Lacroix, remember Lacroix had given me the pattern for the evening dress. 87, Lacroix was the biggest star. And they would take away the advertising from the old Rizzoli group. So they fired me. They had no choice. Okay. It was an experience.
Yeah,
it was an experience. But I think why to if you do you're a journalist, or you do you don't become rich. The only real freedom is because you can share with what you really truly believe. So if they take away this from you, what is left? So I got fired, and I started something else.
That's so inspiring. When I teach at Central St. Martin's to the journalists who are doing their MA in fashion journalism, and when I told them I was interviewing you, they were so excited. And I was wondering when you realised that you had become a sort of famous person in the fashion industry, and if you realised what it feels like to be that highly regarded. I mean, do you feel a responsibility to people in the industry?
I never thought about this. I was always too busy to work.
Why do you? The other thing I thought about, because before I came to speak to you just now, because I had, originally we planned to speak a few weeks ago, so I prepared all my notes, and then we didn't speak. So then this morning I was rereading my notes to remind myself what I was going to talk to you about. And I was scanning down the timeline of your career and your life, and I just thought, my God, she's launched so many things. She's collaborated with so many massive figures, whether it's Alaïa or Paolo Roversi, all the photographers over the years. Opened so many shops, exhibitions. It's just incredible. Your output is, I felt almost exhausted to look at it. And what do you constantly feel the need to try something new? Where does this energy come from?
I guess the desire to share with people. It's about communication, I think, in the end. If I have to, I'm very curious. And this is my driving force, which I shared with Azzedine, was we like to learn something new every day, which is true. Every day you meet somebody, every day you understand from your mistakes, or you grow, or you learn something. And so this curiosity is definitely my force. And then I don't know, I get enthusiastic when I see new talents, or when I see the possibility to share with people a new project, or that's why I did so many exhibitions. And I was very lucky because I met so many amazing people, and many are my friends. It's like they became part of my family.
Do you keep an eye on emerging talent in the fashion world today? Are you still excited by new designers and what's happening?
I think it's the enthusiasm that it's very important, because there will always be a new talent. There will always be beauty. There will always be somebody who's going to bring something new. And that's why I think it's important to see as much as possible, but not as a constraint. I just say it's as a pleasure. It's like should be a pleasure to discover something new, to learn something that you didn't know. And I think today there are some very good young fashion designers that hopefully they will become big ones of tomorrow. But
is there anyone in particular that you'd like? Is there anyone that you can name?
Well, I like Niccolò Pasqualetti, who is Italian, because I think he used to work at Loewe, and what I like is his determination. He wanted to be a designer on his own, which is super rare today. Super rare. So he resigned. Yeah. His parents didn't want him to resign. He absolutely wanted to. He has this desire to express himself, which I think it's. I talk about him because of what he represents. The will to be independent and to build his own brand, which is so rare today, when most of the people want to be an art director, and maybe probably change a few times.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Like what's been happening over the last few days with Chanel and et cetera, et cetera.
It's huge, it's passionate, but has been happening for years. This it's more and more rare that somebody with talent also decide to invest life, money, solitude, because creativity is also solitude, and goes through problems like also. It's not only production and delivery, and the whole process is extremely complicated. Actually, much more complicated today than it was in the 80s, because the world is so much bigger. So when I see somebody young that really lives a job secure in a good maison to be an independent designer, chapeau. It's a good example.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that is so interesting. I mean, it's crazy what's been happening with all the creative designers all changing, and everybody's so obsessed about who's going where. And
it's like yes,
it's a crazy frenzy. What do you think? You were friends with Karl Lagerfeld. So and how do you feel about Mathieu Blazy going to Chanel?
Well, he's extremely good. I like the fact that he's 40 years old, and he has a life in front of him, lots of culture, and very attentive to craftsmanship and detail. It's exciting to see what he's going to do, but for sure it's going to be good.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's exciting, and
No, it's what is that strange that nobody stays long time in a maison. But in reality, I understand it's not their maison. They didn't build it. Gautier, Vivienne Westwood, Kawakubo, Azzedine, all these Yohji Ramon, they built their brand. They built their maison. So, of course, they would rather die than separate from them. No? So they go through sacrifice. But now, when you work for somebody else's brand, and there are so many, such a big structure, and CEO, CFO, CMO, I understand that they change.
Yeah.
It's not their creatures.
Since we're talking about all that fashion stuff as well, Polly Mellon sadly died yesterday. Did you know Polly?
Sure, I knew Polly very, very well. Yeah, she was so enthusiastic, so chic, and so full of energy, and an amazing, amazing fashion editor. Yeah, it was, I knew her. Because I was also for a very short time editor-at-large for American Vogue, in between.
Oh, really? Oh, right. I didn't realize that.
Few months.
Under not when Anna was. Okay. Grace Mirabella. Yeah.
I left Italian Vogue, all those issues, and Lieberman, and I wanted to go to Elle. I told Lieberman I want to go to Elle, and he said no. So he offered me to be part of American Vogue, but after a few months, I decided to go to Elle.
Okay.
I got fired. That's
Apparently getting fired is good for your character, and everyone should get fired once in a while.
I think if it happens, it's not pleasant because you don't expect this kind of a shock. But like everything in life, you have to. It's a lesson, And, I think it can make you better, or anyway, that's what it is.
Yeah. What about? I was interested because I think you've worked as a journalist and an editor, and worked in magazines for so many years. And how do you think magazines in print can have a place today in the world of where there's so much digital stuff and there's so much augmented content across digital platforms, social media, people watching the fashion shows on YouTube and so on? What do you think can be the place for a print fashion magazine?
Well, I think nothing says can substitute paper, because we're all attracted to those devices and you see everything fast. But you don't have time to pause and to think and to really enjoy the image, I remember there was an issue of British Vogue by Grace Coddington with Bruce Weber in a garden with all the flowers. And I remember I told Paolo Roversi, I feel like crying. It's so beautiful. It's like, but this can only happen in paper, because you can really keep looking at the image and look. When it's, on the internet, it's interesting. It's very good for the information, for sure. So probably magazine today, but anyway, they're already doing. There are lots of independent magazines where image is the most important part. And I think there have to be image magazines where they make you dream. Or, it could be photography, it could be drawings, because I think also drawings on paper are very beautiful.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's all about beauty and give a message. I don't think nothing else can. Anyway, nobody has arrived today to make an online magazine that really make you crazy, because the internet, it's only you use 2 senses on 5, and we have 5 senses. So even the sound of the turning the pages of a magazine drives you in another world. The smell of it. I think really will always exist, but maybe should be the contrary of what they used to be. Go back. When I was in Vogue, there was nothing but fashion. Then we all thought that you needed lots of other things. But today, all this other information you already have on the internet.
Yeah.
You just need image now.
Just beautiful imagery. Yeah.
It's like going back.
There's been this trend in fashion where fashion has become entertainment, which I think is an extension of what's been happening on the internet, where fashion shows have to become very performative, and it's all made for maybe people looking at it on here. Things like the Met Ball, or those big events where it's all red carpet. And I mean, do you think that is really fashion, or is it more performance and costume?
Well, I think it went to extreme. There was a moment where elegance and beauty and to dress up, we all like to do that, right? Me, not personally so much, but I understand it's beautiful to do a tapis rouge and to be elegant. And it became too strong, too much, I guess, because of the internet. But fashion shows are like Galliano or McQueen. They are unforgettable. So these are like going to a movie. And this I understand. The John Galliano shows from the very, very, very beginning, I remember, they've always been taking you in another world. So Alexander McQueen. So in that sense, I understand. Otherwise, when it's just big productions and you have the feeling that it's a lot of money involved, and this money is going to be on the clothes, on the price of the clothes, this I don't like.
Yeah.
But when they come to the almost art, well, it's fantastic. Or like which makes the fashion shows. It's a statement.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to make clothes that you can wear. We know she can make a coat. No?
Yeah. What about all these designers who are making clothes in, I don't know, with artificial intelligence, AI, virtual realities, creating clothes that can just be worn online? Some designers are doing 3D printing, which seems to have some exciting opportunities, would you say?
Well, that's what they say. I think 3D to make prototypes could be probably good. It's probably saving money, I guess. I don't know, because to make a prototype of a shoe, for example, it's a lot of hours, and maybe with the 3D, it can help to have an idea of what. I think, again, it's like the internet, like everything which is a service, I think is extremely good. When you become a victim of that, it's another story, because creativity is something you have in your mind, in your thinking, in your body, something you want to express. And you cannot ask AI to express for you.
Yeah, good point.
Great. Point. It's like when you are in love and you take the little flower, he loves, he doesn't love, it doesn't make any sense. The internet is not the answer. AI is not the answer to creativity. But maybe it can be an inspiration.
It's a nice way of looking at it. So what are you planning next? You always seem to have so much happening in your life and so much work. Are you planning any future projects? Are you working on things at the moment that you'd like to share?
Well, now I'm concentrating on the new place of the Fondation Azzedine Alaïa, because I want to. We made a library. I take care of the Alaïa Foundation in Paris, but in Milan I have my Fondation Azzedine, and with a library, archives, the collection of photography, and I want to do. I started already doing some teaching courses because I think it's extremely interesting to be in contact with young people. Well, you teach, so you know what it is. And as I have all these archives and also my experience, I think this is a time, if I can do a transmission, or when I can, if they think I can be of any help or interest.
Right. So that's the aim of the Sozzani Foundation, is to share knowledge with future generations.
Yes, this is my point. I'm
And
working with my daughter on that.
your daughter's working on that.
I don't know if you know Sarah. Yeah. She's very
Fantastic. And
Yeah,
if people want to get involved, or if people would like to see what you're doing or listen to the talks, or how can they find it?
Well, they can write to us. And we have 4 students, for example, for 4 months. We had another student from Korea staying for a week. Yes, it's possible. I think it's the best way to share all what we know, which is so many years, 56 years of fashion now. Fashion, and not only. I think it's something that can be maybe helpful to somebody to know something more. I'm there. I love to do it.
So a nice message. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I hope when you come to Paris, you don't come to Milan, I guess. And if you want to call me, I show you the rest of the foundation and archives.
I would absolutely love that. I will drop you an email.
Okay, with pleasure.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. You've been listening to In Talks with me, Danielle Radojcin. The sound and theme music is by Woogie Productions, and the artwork is by Patrick Waugh. If you enjoyed this episode, please pass it on to someone who you think might also like it. Please subscribe and leave a review. To pitch for guest ideas, you can DM me via my socials at Danielle Radojcin. Thanks for listening.